Well, Peter, bless him, he put in his notes, I asked how he prepared for a round, he said, turn up, loosen up, pay up, was what he said. And I had to point out, well, this isn't going to work. And it isn't going to work because golf's a game of rhythm and timing. And what you want to do or be doing on the practice range is finding your rhythm. And if you're not doing that, one of two things can happen. Either most people will start really poorly, spend the first 4 holes or so trying to find their rhythm, yeah, then finding it, then playing quite well. Or, which was Peter's case, they'll play quite well for 4 holes because they play within themselves while they try and find it. And then they find it, and then they try and do too much, and it all goes to crap, which was what was happening with him. So I explained that it's no good going to the range, which he does a couple of times a week, if he then doesn't have any chance to put that information into practice when he gets to the golf course, because he's not hitting a single ball before he gets out there. The most interesting thing we talked about, and I didn't know he was club captain, is that he looks for others' approval on a golf course. So it does tie in. He spent a year, I mean, the club captain, you know, you're on display the whole time, you're being judged. And Peter is he's an accomplished man, he's done a lot in his life. And like me, he does a lot of public speaking, and he told me he once talked to 13,000 people. So it's not like he's not used to being on display, but he's used to being on display in an area in which he's comfortable and expert. You know, on a golf course, where you play off 17 and there's 100 people watching you, your focus is not on what you're meant to be doing, it's on what they're thinking of you. And that's the problem he had. So we discussed a technique I use called the inner scorecard. And the inner scorecard is about isolating the character traits that define your game when you're playing well. Peter plays well when he trusts himself, when he's accepting what happens in the day for good or bad, when he's not looking for anyone's approval, and when he's breathing properly. Because the other thing I gave him was a breathing technique called belly breathing, which was slightly different from the other one. And the idea of it is that you judge yourself out of 10 on each hole for each of these. So if you get the actual scorecard, and it might be on the second hole, well, I sort of trusted myself, so you give yourself a 5, and I remembered to breathe, so that was a 9, but I was worried about what Frank thought, so that might be a 3, yeah? And subconsciously you start to adjust. You don't even have to do anything really. It's just, you notice, oh, hang on a minute. This is what a 7 trust feels like as opposed to a 3 trust. This is what I feel like if I don't care what anyone else is thinking. And as the round goes on, the scores gradually creep up and your golf improves. But the beauty of it is you don't even care if your golf is improving, because you understand it's because you've put in place these qualities that create good golf that the good golf comes.